Okay, I've just stopped my recording, restarted my recording. Now that we're done with the patch notes, we can actually move back into the core reason that we're here tonight, which is to continue our study on iron, bronze, and silver levels of play. We were going to continue the IBS tier list. We were going to talk about the roles that we haven't hit just yet. I can't type. And again, as a disclaimer, I still don't know if these tier lists are even useful. I still don't know if we're playing at a level, like if we're talking about a level of play where this even means anything. I cannot type, Jesus. Oops. But I'm just trying to build up a baseline of understanding for how different levels of play work. So let's find out. Let's do that. I feel like I just executed a very poor patch note rundown. But I need to stop getting so down on myself when I have a bunch of question marks. It's really just telling me, like, what I need to study, right? Damn. Okay. So let's talk about bot lane first. We're going to talk about 80 carries. We're going to talk about just in general. I've been doing some thinking since my last stream. I do have some more stuff to talk about. I formalized my IBS document a little bit. You know what, Jackie? That's actually a good point. My core focus has just been in a different area than keeping up with the meta right now, and so of course my patch note will suffer a little bit. That's right. I do need to keep that in mind. So I formalized this a little bit. I think what happens in IBS bot lanes, what I've been observing, is kill threat is valued above all. Scaling is appealing, but not at the expense of a weak lane. We want snowball potential. We don't want any champions overly dependent on a single partner. We don't want these like deep synergy conditions. We don't want the extremely mechanical champions. And poke lanes as a whole are barely viable. That's pretty much where we are on 80 carries. So let's go ahead and start bringing everyone in here. The bot lane lists are always the smallest. And I'll bring Cass in. Like, I'll bring some of the mage supports, or the mage 80 carries in too. Even the ones that I haven't studied too much in depth. I have to remind myself right now, it's like the entire point of what I'm doing over the past week, and so it's I'm trying to rebuild my baseline understanding of things so that I'm just solid on my fundamentals. Karthus, Kindred, Lucian, Misfortune, Nico, Mila, whatever. I'll include Quinn for fun. Samira, Senna, Seraphine, Sivir, Swain, Syndra, Tristana, that's a big one, Twitch, Varus, Vayne, Veigar. Now we can leave Vel'Koz, why not? There's some Vel'Koz 80 carry stuff like floating around. Victor, Zaya, Yasuo, Zeri, Ziggs. Okay. So let's talk about this. Jinx is always fine. I mean, Jinx is fine, right? Zeri's fine. These are the champions where it's like, there's nothing wrong with them. There's not going to be anything wrong with them, but they're not going to win lane to the same degree. And so you really have to make sure they're safe. And in IBS, that doesn't happen nearly as often, but these champions do perform like just fine. I have a niche tier, and that's not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to have middling. Caitlyn actually falls off quite a bit in IBS, despite like how insane she is. Aphelios, I mean, definitely hits the 2 complex mark. Do I even need a 2 complex, or should I just eat... My weak tiers have been, like, really, really low. Oh, where's Draven? What the hell? Draven has a poor win rate, like, mechanically. We struggle to execute on him a lot. Kindred is way too reliant on a single partner. Sivir probably takes way too long to come online, and people are, like, uncomfortable with that. I would be willing to put her here. And probably where we start to see stuff is, like, this is the one non-kill champ that, like, really flourishes. I mean, she can be a kill champ. Actually, where am I? Let me remember my, I don't even need my, like, paper notes anymore. I digitized this stuff. It's in the OneNote now. Iogs at levels of play. Oppressive is overwhelming game warping output through the lens of the elo. Dominant, excellent output defined by a specific set of criteria dependent on both rank and role. So in this case, that would be your snowball potential. That would be your catch tools. That would be your scaling. Oh, Ash's scaling probably isn't quite as amazing as that. This one absolutely goes up here. Karthus remains powerful. We discussed how Karthus is the type of mechanical champion that IBS players can handle, because even if they miss, they still have immediate tools. Right. Or maybe he goes down here. It's like, he's objectively amazing for the elo if you can play him, just nobody can play him, I think. He's one of the champions where it's like... if you can play him well, you're probably actually gold. Jhin value skyrockets because the more random kills we have, the better this champ is. I just don't know if he's dominant or powerful or anything. Again, we're just building this up as a baseline. Okay, Ezreal is kind of poor down here. Twitch is, like, reasonably good, I would imagine. Trista's probably, like, queen of bot lane down here. This is just conjecture right now. You are too reliant on, like, specific AD carries or specific supports and, like, their actual performance. You probably actually hit the... I'm actually willing to gamble that Seraphine is the exception to our kill lane rule, where poke lanes are bad, because I think, much like some of the powerful mid laners that felt like they didn't belong, I think she just neutralizes too hard. Respectable means we're missing something, right? Yeah, we're missing lane phases, or we're missing, like, intense scaling. We're not able to execute your game plan. It's a little too complex. So, okay. That probably will do it. I mean, yeah, you go up here. I'm actually willing to do this one. You're probably better than... I think Vayne is a little bit better at this rank because she's not going to be punished in the same way. I probably would actually put her... Where does she go? Where does she go? I'm trying to Iogs her in my head a little bit. Okay, poke lanes are barely viable. But Ziggs is a mage, and mages inherently gain value. I should write that one down, actually. Mages gain value because they just... You have to play the way... You have to change the way you're playing against them, I think. Maybe we need to, like... Bot lane, kill threat valued above all... Well, actually, let's take a peek. Bot, silver, because I do remember... I peeked at this earlier, and I remember seeing a lot of... Oh, I didn't include Heimerdinger. Why do I never include Heimerdinger on these things? There's a lot of mages up high, right? High win rates. And you can see the champions who are, like, just sitting around 50 are the champions who take time to scale and then become absolutely devastating in team fights. So, frankly, Sivir should not be middling because she becomes devastating in team fights. And that, like, random team fights matter a lot. I was correct. Is Kog'Maw not on my list? What am I doing, guys? Okay, I need to scroll through here again. Just make sure I didn't miss anyone important. This is the thing nowadays. I'll include it, but it's not good. Oh, this. Yeah. This has historically been valuable. Okay. Yes, Vagar Cage actually does get a lot more. And, like, we're probably not taking advantage of his vulnerability to physical damage as much. Quinn, shockingly high at a very, very low sample size relative to everyone else. Nico, shockingly low. I would not have expected that one bit. Lucian, even lower than I thought, and I still wouldn't have even expected much from him. I'm down to trust the win rate on that one. But yeah, you can see that inherently being a mage makes you more powerful, makes you more annoying to deal with. And every champion that has a high win rate bullies the lane. So actually, no, Jhin has virtually everything we want here. Jhin has everything we want here. And we would put, why would I label Jhin oppressive? To be oppressive on the IBS tier list, you would need to have overwhelming game warping output through the lens of the elo. Does he have that really? His wave clear, he's got very unusual catch potential. Very unusual catch potential, and we know catch potential is key in IBS. Yeah, so actually I will include him up here. Vagar, fine, we'll include Vagar up here. What's wrong with Kai'Sa? Are we fighting too often? Because, like, is she too dependent? Is she like... Maybe there's like a scaling barrier here, or it's like hard to execute her team fights. But then why would these champions be going crazy up here? I think Yasuo with higher safety is probably pretty good. I mean, I don't really care what his win rate says, because again, this is going to be a lot of players who are just not very good at Yasuo, but we've established that Yasuo is the type of champion that we can play. Ultimately, with this sample size, what would the plus or minus be? I have a page. Win rate reliability. Okay. What did I have to do for this again? It's a binomial distribution. How do I calculate this again? It's been so long since I've done this, but it really shouldn't have been so long since I've done this. The normal approximation interval. Okay, it is 1.96 times the square root of the win rate, which is 0.4931, minus 1 minus the win rate again, 0.4931, and all of that divided by n, but I failed to insert a bracket, and now I have to type it all again because my calculator is lovely. Divided by n, which is 27,807. We are very, very sure of this win rate, guys. It is... Okay, times 10 to the power of -3 would be like... Okay, it's within 0.005%. 95% confidence interval, plus or minus 0.005%. Okay, so we're reasonably sure that Yasuo 80 carry in silver does have a sub 50% win rate then. Hi, Steven. Good to see you. But, like, what is he lacking on paper? It has to be execution, no? It has to be execution. There's literally nothing else it could be. He's got reasonable catch potential. He's got good early laning. Does he have good early laning? Is this... Okay, what do Yasuo and Kai'Sa have in common that would, in current state, be dragging down their win rates in silver? Team fight execution! Team fight execution. Then why do Samira and Neela... Why do Samira and Neela not suffer then? Why would Samira and Neela not suffer in win rate? No, these champions love to, like, smork Death Ball, right? If you can press R, Samira wins. I guess it's just easier that way. Like... So many factors that are, like, revealing themselves to me here. But we established that Yasuo is a champion that IBS players can play. What is different about the bot lane when that's actually the easier role to play for Yasuo? Well, it's actually kind of hard to miss with Samira, to be honest. Behind in levels doesn't matter for Yasuo one bit. Not at all. Yasuo's primary resource is just gold. He's an item-reliant champion. Like, it is my firm belief that Yasuo is noticeably stronger in the general case in the bot lane. But that's at the theoretical level. This has to be... Like, we have to apply our IBS lens here. And I need a satisfying answer. I'm going to come up with a satisfying answer. Let's think. I need to vocalize some of my thoughts. Otherwise, I'm just a guy sitting here on a camera, like, not making any noise. I wonder if you're right, Zeknal. I wonder if that's actually the primary factor here. I wonder if Yasuo was generating fewer 2v2 kills than Samira and Neela. We can actually get that statistic. Yasuo was generating 8 kills per game on average, which doesn't really tell us much about when in the game those are done. Samira generating the most on average, which makes perfect sense. This is Silver Samira, this is Silver Neela. Neela is generating 7.67 per game. Without a catch-up mechanic. Okay, but we don't necessarily need a catch-up mechanic. Oh, but I wonder... Okay, so the properties that would make a skirmisher good. The properties that would make a skirmisher good in the bot lane. I have these, like, charted out. Let me just pull it up to make sure I don't misspeak anything. Class viability cross rolls, that page. The properties that would make a skirmisher good in the bot lane are... You must have the mobility to close the gap against ADCs. You must have some extreme defensive steroid as a basic ability or passive to protect against ranged opponent. And you must scale into a competent team fighter. That third criteria, by the way, is actually the only reason that we can't play AD carry Jax. There are actually 3 other champions that satisfy... Oh, I should reword the criteria. Must have some mobility or ranged CC. There we go, now it works. So that criteria applies to 3 champions. There are 3 genuinely good melee bot laners. Those are Yasuo, Neela, and Cho'Gath. That doesn't include Garen with Garen Yuumi stuff. Like, it doesn't include some weird Juggernaut synergy bits. So, like, given those 3 criteria, we don't necessarily need catch-up mechanics. But How well can we execute on those criteria? Must have mobility or range CC to close the gap against ADCs. Yasuo players can do that easily. Must have some extreme defensive steroid. Well, Wind Wall is like really not that hard. It must be the... I have to watch a Silver Yasuo play the lane. I have to watch a Silver Yasuo play the lane to see what happens here. It must... Okay, it must therefore be a fact, like a combination of... If you temper a player's patience and don't change their mechanics at all when you're playing Yasuo AD carry, I'm going to make Twitch chat visible again. I'm thinking about this from the perspective of someone who actually just mains Yasuo and doesn't just pick him up for fun. Like, if you have a player who plays like all the melee short-range AD carries, why would Yasuo inherently be worse? Because, like, Samira still has a similar skill check to Wind Wall. Neela still has, like, timing involved in pressing W. They're easier to key smash a little bit. They're mechanically easier. Same complexity in farming. We do expect our silver players to be, like, reasonably okay at farming. Not good at farming, but reasonably okay at it. I wonder if it's matchup reliant. Oh. I got it. It's a solo queue stat, guys. Yasuo players are picking him without necessary synergies. Yasuo is the most specific synergy reliant champion of those three. Of Neela, Samira, and Yasuo. So how often is he getting paired with, like, Soraka? How often is he getting a Brand? Yasuo really does not like that. The entire purpose of playing Yasuo AD carry is to give him a safe environment to farm in and to give him a, like, access to a reliable combo starter. When you don't have that because you're playing solo queue, that's a problem. So I think this is a situation where we should not read too much into win rate, because I genuinely think it's solo queue stuff. And since we've established that Yasuo is a champion who fits our definition of a mechanical champion that IBS players can manage, I think he should go up here. So, you know, as long as I have that understood. I know they are, but amateur play, you can get them to chill out, right? You can train them. Look, if you condition a Yasuo player to play Neela, who is a champion who really likes to just generate her farm, they can take that skill set into Yasuo. Like, they're fine. True. Okay, now what about the Kai'Sa problem? Why is Kai'Sa hitting the same issue? Is Kai'Sa hitting a support issue? I didn't even consider originally that some of these solo queue win rates would be hit because we're hitting support issues. We did say in our lens, are we considering support ADC synergy? Part of the lens is that if your champion is reliant on a single support, you're probably a worse AD carry at this level, because even when you're playing with a support player that you know and trust, they're not necessarily going to understand like 100% of the things you need for synergy. That being said, team cohesion and synergy points are one of the things that still do matter at the IBS level. So, like, how do I phrase this? No, something's not working in my head. I'm saying contradictory things right now. So something's not right about my approach then. Because I'm not making a... Oh, okay, let me think about this then. You can see why my videos take a lot of research, right? Because we have to get through all of these, like, problems first. When I make my AD carry tier lists... When I make my tier lists in general, I generally consider it in a vacuum, where, you know, a champion's synergy reliance can matter a little bit for overall power level. It can gate you. I would factor that into my IOGs, which is input, output, gate, spikes. Okay, so yes, it would factor in. It would just wouldn't be a major factor. Like, or it would be like, let's say the case of Lucian. Lucian is basically entirely reliant on the like at top level, he's entirely reliant on Nami to actually do anything. So in a vacuum, he would definitely be on the lower end of the list, but like, if you were to use the list to help you draft, you should put Lucian high with the caveat that he's with Nami. Like, that's also an unsatisfying way of thinking. It's not consistent. Hey, Steven, I'm starting to really appreciate how you said Magic the Gathering is, like, made by and for autistic people. Because I'm really starting to respect the specificity of their rules. Now that I'm trying to define some rules of my own and running into inconsistencies and, like, things like that. Really? Your IBS supports never try to roam? Wait, hang on. Is that a thing? Hang on. Is that a thing? Is that actually a thing? Because that's really going to change what types of champions are good down there. Do supports not understand the concept of roaming properly? They either always roam or they never roam. Oh my god. Wait, that's big. That's actually big. I didn't even consider that. Yeah, it's like you're not going to see your Sona players roaming, ever. They're never going to leave lane. Purely reactive. Wait, Sona Oh, really? I guess that's actually a... Yeah, no, because you're told to go to a lane. You're a lane... That is something that I didn't even consider wouldn't be as intuitive. Because, like, when I started learning Smite, I'm just like, oh, of course I roam. I'm a support, right? And that turned out to be correct in that game, too, where it's like... I didn't even think... Yeah, okay. So we have an incorrect statement in my list of what makes an AD carry strong, which I said reliance on a specific yeah, a champion overly dependent on a partner is much weaker. Any champion overly dependent on a partner is much weaker. What does that mean? Any champion overly dependent on a partner is much weaker if that dependence is complex. IBS supports can't fully understand what the needs of the ADC are yet, unless that need is to engage is something that I also wrote for myself and was not factoring in. See, right here. I wrote this. Yeah, and I'm trying to get, like, mid XP. I'm trying to get jungle XP in that game. Like, you actually have to hit your shots. But it just makes sense that if your income stream isn't necessarily tied to a lane, you should be trying to impact the map as much as possible. That game's cool. Smite's a cool game. Okay, so there's our difference, right? Are Neela, Samira, and Yasuo reliant on their supports? Well, yes, but the support's obligation is to make space, make plays. And that's really easy for supports to understand. When the obligation is to, like, when I'm playing Zeri, it's like, hey, I need you to babysit me and defend me and, like, oh no, not Zeri, that's a terrible, terrible example. Aphelios, hi! When I'm playing Aphelios and what I'm requesting for my support is a lot more complex than that, That's no good. Smite heroes are, like, really simple. I agree. They're... I like, to my knowledge, there's also usually a solved build. Actually, that would make you, like... one of these two. I would imagine I'm only seeing, like, a 49% win rate on COG or something. Much better. I'm wrong. Why? What's the difference here? What's the difference? Why would Kog'Maw of all champions be really high win rate? Surprised that Vayne is even middling? Should she not be? Do you encounter good Vayne down there? Oh, she's winning a lot more than I expected. Okay, let's talk about Vayne Cog now. Yeah, they scale so hard, but we've established that, like, kill lanes are the things that win. But then when I was thinking about supports... See, because supports have a lot of freedom in what they play in IBS, still. Everything kind of works. Okay, this is a. I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna pace because I'm like nervous and anxious today. So I need you. I'm going to stand over here and yell, basically. Supports who have experienced this elo recently. How valuable is playing counter engage? Like, how easy is it to play counter engage? Oh, people are fighting him with W active. And when Kog'Maw is W active, he's never a weak champion. Yeah, okay, Kog'Maw's winning trades early game, isn't he? Oh, Kog'Maw's winning lanes! Oh, no! Oh, shit. Okay, Kog'Maw's winning lanes, guys. Kog'Maw is winning lanes. Oh, ooh, 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 ooh. Uh-oh. And Varus' passive is... Yeah, I mean, Varus also has the stats to win his lanes. This is the first of the 3 remaining rolls. Yeah, I'm trying to, like, book it a little bit because I did some thinking on the bus. I was taking a bus to go see my friend, and I had a lot of time to wait, so I was just thinking, right? I refined it a little bit off stream. What I said about supports. Supports participate in a lot of kills. Mage supports are dominant. Engaged supports tend to die a lot, but maybe necessary for mid-game. High vulnerability is not good. Where's the thing I wrote about? Where's the thing I wrote about counter engage? Reactivity is most valuable in supports compared to the rest of the map. Proactivity is just as strong. Hi, Karibo. Oh yeah, no, we've been new about how strong Varus is. Just some funny stats. Well, it depends on which way the Darken swings. It could be 3. I need to figure... Okay, so wait. So Xayah's not expected to be winning any lanes, and she's... Okay, so yeah. So the difference between Xayah and Cog in this context would be, like... Kog'Maw likes to kite backwards, play counter engage. He just has the stats to back up what's happening early. He's a stat stick right now. Xayah is not that. She requires some more precise execution. She does not get to be proactive the way that people are used to being in this level. It's kind of uncomfortable. So that yeah, okay, I didn't even... Thank you guys for helping me to, like, solve my disconnects. Let's talk Vayne then. Guys, what is your case for Vayne being a really good IBS champion? My case for her being much better in IBS than in higher levels of play is that her early wave clear is not something that gets punished, right? Yes, that... Yeah, okay. So that part doesn't change. That part doesn't change. I'm moving Ashe to dominant. Okay, so a lot of common Vayne weaknesses you guys are feeling like they still apply at your level of play. And then we're also Vayne spotting. Okay, yeah. Now, Vayne has a 50% win rate in solo queue. Somehow. Okay, so when you guys said you were surprised to see Vayne in middling, that doesn't necessarily mean that she should be somewhere else. I have her here because middling, average to low output, which can be caused solely by tendencies or rank-specific gates. Really weak early lane. I guess she can find some funny skirmishes if the enemy misplays and just randomly gets kills, and that becomes a problem. She's not like that hard, but her team fighting is quite a lot harder to execute. That's a major gate down here. So I should actually catch scaling. Easy team fight execution is one of the key factors too. I should add that. Oh, you're talking Xayah. Okay, well, yeah, that's then with as little disrespect intended, like with absolutely no disrespect intended. Then, if we're talking about Xayah, that's absolutely a no shit Sherlock kind of comment, but. Yeah. Okay. So this is like kind of a mechanical check, kind of. What is this? This is just. This is probably the only actual like poke lane. This has like kind of a Seraphine principle, I think. Where it is just, it's really, really hard to punish Heimerdinger. Right. I love Vayne spotting. I forgot Vayne spot. Sometimes I forget Vayne spotting used to be a game, just because you don't see as many Vaynes like absolutely sprinting it anymore. Well, because you don't see as many Vaynes anymore. All the Vayne players graduated to like better champions. I want to play Kaisa. I want to play Samira. I want to play Mila. Ooh. Okay, what other bits of lane dominance can we see in here? If that was bad in mid lane, in IBS, it is not good here. I don't know enough about Lux to place her. I'm going to argue. I mean, Victor probably might be a little bit better than he usually is. Swain, probably brick walls people. Okay. I have not had to experience bot lane Swain in a very long time. I'm going to have to draw on some ancient knowledge here. I don't even need to draw on ancient knowledge. I see it. Catch tools, reasonably fast scaling. He definitely won't go up here. He definitely won't go up here, but like, there's no way he's like bad. Let's check, compare him against our properties here. What properties do we care? Snowball potential. Oh yeah, via catch, which is one of our biggest ones. Good scaling. Yes, he has that. Easy team fight execution. Oh yeah, he has that. Okay, I will believe you on Swain. We'll just run a win rate check too. Oh, he's right below me. Excellent champion here. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Swain, the way I used this, Swain's matchup spread in the bot lane used to be like pretty clear, right? If he's against enchanters, it's miserable. If he's not. But he was a lot more burst oriented back then. The caveat that he wants more engaged supports compared to enchanters. Well, I would be inclined to disagree that that matters at this level of play. Because as long as Swain has, like, anything to fall. Okay, well, I guess the Lulu players aren't bloodthirsty yet. Are they? Guys, are Lulu players bloodthirsty in IBS? I've seen Sona players fight for no reason, so I would assume the Lulu players are out to kill you. The players do not change. He wants stick potential. Well, I mean, you're... From the perspective of manufacturing all-ins, I guess so. But, like, no, okay, IBS players are not generating holds. They're not generating freezes. They're not running you down a long lane. They are not waiting. Is Swain meaningfully weaker now than he used to be before his mid-scope at just playing for hook combos? I don't think that matters. I don't think that stickiness matters as much as we think it does. I'm just thinking of the context in which I draft Swain. And that's... I'm trying to think of the context in which I draft Swain. Right. Fuck, yeah, no, none of it's bot lane. I have lost all knowledge of bot lane Swain. Because it's like, well, it's not like the intention is to kill you off repeated hook combos like that. We don't even give a shit if we put a mage support beside him at this point, because damage types aren't like... How much do we have to respect magic damage distribution? I'm sorry, I have too many thoughts going through my head right now. I'm not able to focus them. Okay, focus them! The higher elo we go for 80 carry Swain, the worse this gets. Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't. But at this point is now a counter pick. At this point, the only context... This just has a miserable sample size. At this point, the only context in which you would actually pick it is if the enemy is obligated to come into you. If we don't care about that in IBS, I'm trying to change synergy. In top, mid, and jungle. Yeah, but typically, like, if we wanted something more generalist than the Swain, we would be immediately gravitating towards Ziggs, we would be gravitating towards Seraphine, we would go towards, like, Kog'Maw. Swain is definitely not my first choice for a bot lane mage. Karthus especially. Karthus is definitely my number one choice. He is weird. Well, no, but what you're... What I think we're missing here is that this... How do I explain this? We would not draft a champion in the general case for durability alone, especially when it is a champion who actually does gain quite reasonable value from XP. When we're trying to pick a mage support like this, the early lane does actually matter quite a bit. Like, what is the 2v2 potential? Why are we playing a mage in the bot lane here? If Swain's 2v2 potential is noticeably worse than it once was, then it would matter that we're, like, forcibly locking people... No, that's an unrelated concept. Let's scrap this discussion. Let's cut it off here. Where we will leave it is that IBS players are more susceptible to being hit by the hook if they are hit by the hook at, like, repeatedly in moments where they can't be killed. Yes, Swain is still generating soul fragments. If they're being hit in situations where they can be killed because it's a long lane just by complete accident, they're just getting hit. They're just getting hit, and so it does not matter if every individual trade is not quite as good. Swain still offers what we want. Matchup doesn't matter. Why are you being moved? Stop. And I think I'll leave it at that one. Yeah, I think that point probably cements it enough. It's like... I'm just... The reason I'm stuck on this point is because this actually matters. Because this might be something that further refines our counter picks don't matter thing. Because we've proven that counter picks do matter to a degree. Like, the matchups do matter if you're a weak laner. But it's like... Okay, the best comparison point that I have is Rumble. Rumble mid is a champion who inherently just dumpsters melee champions who are trying to get in his face. Squishy melees, right? When you pick Rumble against range, that matters. He is noticeably weakened. He would become a good champion again if you can combo him with... Okay, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Okay, problem solved. Swain's matchup does matter, but it's the type of matchup where in IBS you either take a good matchup or you take a synergy point. And then you're left with a champion who just has really good team fighting, really good catch, and so here we are. Okay. Whew! That sucked. That sucks to go over. Okay, we just have the Kai'Sa problem to solve, then we should try to sort Senna. I think Syndra's early lane has proven to be, like, very poor, and she is getting dumpstered. I would actually put her, like, back here. I don't think I have the expertise to really sort anything else in here. I'm just leaving them here as a note for me later. Yeah, it's just Kai'Sa, just Senna. Senna. Okay. Really susceptible to all-in. When you look at her actual AD carry win rate, that's irrelevant because that's not a thing. Oh, we are not making an IBS player, like, properly fast. Hell no. Absolutely not. Not happening. And yes. So farming Senna has to endure a lot of, like, really awful shove situations. Her wave clear is like, okay. If your champion loses the push to Ezreal, that's bad. That's really bad if you lose the push to Ezreal of all champions. She did have that, and we did experiment with it a little bit, but, like, ultimately it wasn't enough to actually get her into a noticeably strong spot. The only value that you would get from, like, Senna in a farming role is, like, access to more expensive, like, Kraken Rageblade builds. At the end of the day, she also is the squishiest AD carry. I think that's right. I think she's, like, Sona durability. And so when you look at the fact that kill lanes are what win, that's really scary. I mean, you're also not running barrier on, like, AD carry Senna, so it's like you just have too many compounding weaknesses. Kai'Sa. Why would Kai'Sa be underperforming? What would Kai'Sa's core weakness be here in respectable tier? Dominant properties are snowball potential, catch, scaling, easy teamfight execution. It must just be the teamfight execution. It's high risk. It's high risk. It's high risk, and she's not quite as strong in the early game, but she snowballs like a menace. I'll put her there tentatively. If I'm wrong, so be it. Talia bot. Yeah, it's kind of a thing. It's not a very good thing. People experimented with it. It's too XP reliant, really. It's too XP. I have it as something to investigate further later, so I just included it on this list too. But, like, Talia support does work. So if you can play with support XP, like, it's fine. Untrue with Bork builds, but Bork builds are probably a little too hard to execute for the average IBS player. Okay. I'm satisfied with this for right now. Oh, also, we'll just dump Quinn in Respectable for fun. Alright, there we go. Any last controversial points? I think we do generally understand what's going on here. It's just the little funnies. I'm gonna have to watch this back while I'm actually updating. Ah! Guys, I have to update my document. I have to update every single champion page with a new header now for levels of play. Ah! But at least talking about it gives me an opportunity to show, hey guys, you can gain access to this whole document on Patreon. Woo! I'm going to be putting a lot of work into it for this stupid project. Woo! Okay, that's my shill. I'm supposed to do that at least once, right? I don't see anything super controversial. Like, the dominant champions are the ones who just have excessive catch, excessive kill threat, excessive snowball. Jhin is like the big warping one where it's like, wait, why am I dead from across the screen? Ah, why? Why is he so strong early? Ah! Kog'Maw, we figured out, gains value from just random ass trading. Yeah, I don't see anything like grossly controversial. Seraphine, we accounted for based on the Zillion thing. Veigar's not losing off vulnerability alone. So the struggles of just running projects too. The struggles of building knowledge in general. You just have to like... What I'm about to write isn't inherently going to change, which is the nice thing. I can kind of just write, this is what happens to this champion in IBS and leave it like that. I just have to go and do it because I don't have that information on anyone's headers. Like, but yes, power levels suck. Trying to maintain power levels sucks. Okay, I'm going to save this. We're going to move straight on to support. I'm going to trust that it's good enough for right now. IBS bot 1223. Okay, reset. Woo! This is going to be a hard one, guys. Oops. This is going to be a hard one because the support stuff is just like... Okay. Now, I am a weirdo. Be ready for that. I will include the weirdo supports that I have yet to analyze properly. When you see me make a support tier list, it has like half the roster on it, okay? Because this is my domain of study, like the big one that I've done before. That is on my other list, isn't it? What am I doing with... What am I doing moving that one? Oh. Okay, so sorting the niche picks is going to be really weird. This will stay an unknown because it's an unknown on my core list too. I got figure. I'm not including that hyper niche. No, nobody will find any practical use for that down here. Okay. Yes, oh wait, good point. There we go. We will get into this more when we talk about, some really specific type of hyper roam compositions, like specific aggro compositions on the YouTube channel. I am a support radical. I do give really absurd picks the time of day. The Talon one is effectively, the premise of that pick is it generates reliable shove. You pair it with a self-sufficient AD carry. It becomes second jungle and just terrorizes the map. The entire premise is like extreme hyper roam, right? Which is inherently volatile. And it is not something you should subject random AD carries to. You should never subject random AD carries to it. They will not know how to play with it. Whenever there is something weird on here, I assure you it's because we're investigating some pick conditions. Like, okay. And also, some of these off-meta picks are literally just... I've investigated them and I've rated them abysmal. Some of them are just in this tier on my regular tier list, but I'm still talking about them because something could change in the future. Okay. Let's talk. We're going to start with the overall IBS premise, right? The core way to win in IBS play is to crush your lane, creating a large gold buffer to defend against throws via volatile fights, and closing the game because you are simply more likely to win spontaneous team fights. But at the end of the day, team fighting is the name of the game down here. We want to be helping our AD carries run the kill lanes that they need to snowball, but we also have quite a lot of tools to just... We have a lot of tools to just make it to those team fights, really. So let me start with some assumptions, okay? First, your lane is not going to be punished as... This is the role where scaling is actually like the most appealing because IBS supports get ludicrous amounts of gold compared to any other elo. And therefore... that's going to be a very relevant pick. It's a pick that can fight. It's a pick that has surprising damage for what it is. It is probably the only Warden we actually noticeably like. I am going to start dumping Wardens here. Why am I dumping Wardens here? Because I think purely reactive, low damage Warden picks are the weakest thing you can play down here. If you're going to be fully reactive, well, it's like... The win rates have been backing me up a little bit too. What did I write exactly? I wrote exactly. Low scaling Wardens are completely reactive and low impact in lane. That's why there's a problem. You are fully relying on your teammates playing these champions, and that's no good. We don't want that. Because any one of our teammates can randomly collapse. I would imagine... So we want to pull some mage supports up here. These are the champions that are going to start crushing lane, right? It is. Yeah, it's depressing. I think Karma... Okay, so also we know, we've mentioned this before, tempo champions in IBS struggle. That means Karma is weaker than she should be because Karma is reliant on maintaining her lead. And she's not giving as much... Her protective utility also relies on her teammates not completely chimping out and just sprinting it down. Shanna is powerful. Sona is the type of champion that just compensates for having a weak lane because her team fighting is so insane. This is the type of anti-engage we like. And I'm not even sold on having these champions up here too. I'm just... Feels wrong. It feels so wrong putting her here, but I genuinely think it's true. I really do. At this level of play, you cannot be played in IVS. You are not finding pick conditions and you cannot be executed on. For our actual engage, we want shocking catch. I think Zac is like actually good here. It's harder to counter him for having a weak lanes. Do weak lanes matter as a support? Do weak lanes matter as a support? It's not like the enemy support is doing anything. The support player is probably like the least threatening player in the lobby. As long as... Or the enemy support player, right? Okay, where's Sejuani? Sejuani's trash. Do not play Sejuani in low elo. All of the power that this champion gives you is dependent on playing the game at certain times, using waves correctly. Like, not happening down here. Do not do that. I'm actually going to go out on the limb. Do not play Hyper Roam either. Or it should be. No, don't play this Hyper Roam. This is too dependent on specific things going right. Is it? I mean, Wither is so insane. It probably requires too much patience for us. It's got too complex a role to really understand down here, I think. It makes our team comp a little weird. Yeah, it's probably not good. Yeah, like it is. Should we just like, should we skip immediately to win rates? Like, I want to kind of give it my all first. Okay, so Lulu actually is not as strong in IBS as she should be, because I think she is too dependent on specific players doing well. She wants her AD carry. Like, when we're playing a support, we want non-specific carries to enable. If our AD carry falls behind, we want someone else to count on. Lulu is not a champion who depends on specifically her AD carry, but I remember seeing she underperforms down here. I think she's probably not bullying lanes as hard as she should. Polymorph requires some faster fingers. There's actually kind of a mechanical skill check on Lulu, plus ideal champions to buff. So obviously this champion is not useless and can never be useless. Okay, Morgana gains more value down here than she should, but she still doesn't have like a lot. No one's playing that properly. This is not the type of champion you want to be playing in IBS, because it's a fully defenseless ranged support. Brand is also reasonably defenseless, but he can just kind of kill you back. And I think that matters down here. Way too complex. I actually think this is probably good down here. Gragas gets here for Warden reasons. Nautilus is way too low durability for us to really handle. Can the support step up to carry if the ADC just sucks? Well, let me tell you, Tarek single-handedly carried me out of silver when I was silver. He single-handedly carried me out of gold when I was gold. Like, yes, absolutely that champ can. For me, it's more so, can the support just adapt to whichever carry actually needs them? Does that mean carrying on your own? Sure. Does that mean engaging for somebody else? Sure. If you're an enchanter, does that mean having utility that's non-specific enough? Which is why Renata's up here, too. Right? Like, you just need one guy to be popping off, and then Renata makes them ridiculous. And Janna, too. Like... Okay, Thresh doesn't... Thresh's current state is just too poor, and it's reliant on the Lantern Click, which... like, if you can play him, sure, but this is definitely the type of champion that we would expect to fail our mechanical criteria. So, probably don't do that. I actually think Rel is probably insane down here. No damage on this champ. Really weak lane, and the scaling is not as good as like a proper enchanter to compensate. But he's a fine champion. Nothing wrong with him inherently. Could hit some good synergy points. Could hit your necessary engage. Okay, I'm not gonna fully cheat. This is still D2+. I'm not going to fully cheat. I bet it's lower than I think it is. Yeah, it's kind of middling. Yeah, Rakan doesn't hit the stuff we want. He's not crushing lane. He's not, like, giga scaling. Rakan players are going to think they're supposed to be primary engage and run it, I think. Okay, you're not playing this properly. You're not playing this properly. You're not playing this properly. You're never finding a situation in which you actually know how to play this. Or maybe we can just do this one. Same here. Way too reactive. Not actually doing the damage you want. Bruiser supports are weird. Okay, I would not be surprised if Set's support was unusually good in this level. But I'm also wondering if he's too tempo reliant. I mean, Set's just inherently good. Okay. Let me just put some randoms in here. Like, nobody's playing this reactively enough, and it's hyper niche, so she doesn't even get the Warden treatment. She goes down here. Don't pick Poppy support at this level. I'm gonna have a lot of, like, finagling to do. People die more to Pantheon than they should, and he's not hard, so... I don't know where to put the engage supports. Like, Bard has a... Okay, how do we feel about Bard's skill check? Because Bard mechanically is tough. He's weird. He's very macro. Oh, no. He's got a fundamentally macro game plan. Nope. We're not playing that down here. Nope. Fundamentally macro-reliant game plan. Nope. Nope. I think this is probably the best Warden. He's a funny guy. Oh, Bard's also just trash water. Well, okay, well, Bard is trash water in lane. Like, Bard has such a ridiculous immediate power trough. His primary objective is to survive lane phase while also impacting the map. It is pretty simple to right-click on people with, like, 40 chimes, yeah. But, like, to actually have positive impact on Bard, you need to know how to play the map. I think it's too fundamentally, like, it's too much of a macro game plan, I would imagine. Yeah. Although how many of these people are just trying to murder? Night Harvester? Based. Let me look at my normal support tier list, because my normal support tier list is the list I have the absolute most confidence in out of all of my lists. It's so funny to see Nasus down here, like, when he's not even close to there on my regular list. Soraka actually kind of struggles more than she should down here, right? Wow, this list is going to look very different. Reasonably defenseless support, except much like Brand, she can kind of kill back, but it's also hard. Very tempo reliance. Although you can probably pull it off. Possibly. Possibly. Nami's a weird one. How do we feel about Nami? I would imagine Nami. I'm thinking back. Okay, actually, I have insight, because I was borderline a Nami main when I was silver. And I had the incorrect belief that I could just fight people. And I actually could. I could just fight people. I just walked up and scrapped with them, right? Nami's probably much, much better at this level of play when you can just fight things and you always have reasonable CC and disengage. Because, like, the problem with... The thing that holds Nami back in higher levels of play is that she's just, like... Well, there's no way you can proactively trade. You can't proactively trade. Any act that pushes forwards to actually W somebody is very likely to break triangle. You are easily exposed. You're not getting your move speed right away because you're locked in your W animation. You're super reliant on enabling your AD carry, so that's why that's one of the reasons that Nami Lucian is the thing. And if you can't get Lucian Nami and you have to play Nami anyway, you would rather have something self-reliant like Draven, stuff like that. Pretty much, yeah. I think Nami is completely outclassed by Karma outside of the Lucian duo. But even though Nami is an aggro champ, she still has more immediately useful tools for mid-game teamfights than Karma does when something's going to be really messy. I would bet she's actually, yeah, remembering my experience as an old-school Nami player, I think she's probably pretty good in IBS. Okay, I mean, let's just screw it. Let's see how close I was to... I didn't even rate Heimerdinger. I did, yeah. Maokai's good, Rel's good, Blitzcrank's good, Nami... Soraka is better than I thought she was. Tarek, incredible. I was correct to put him number 1. Sona, Twitch, Amumu, Zillion, we didn't talk about. Talia, very poor. Lux, very good. Swain, very good. Fiddlestick's good with a low sample size. Karthus, excellent with a negligible sample size. Shaco is good. Zyra's good. Brand is good. Vel'Koz is good. Nico is good. All the mages are good. Leona actually has a higher win rate than when I checked a few days ago. And we're in the Warden Zone, baby. Nautilus is doomed. Morgana's win rate is far higher than I actually thought it would be. What is this? What is this? How does this have a noticeable amount of games? Like, you guys will play anything. I have to see what they're building. Oh my god, it's AP Cog, the pick that requires like 3 items. AP Cog is worse Xerath. The reason you'd want to run AP Cog is because it has by far the best scaling of all the artillery mages. It's just the most threatening. Like the barrage is not something that other artillery mages can really match. You just make one guy's life really, really, really miserable once you hit level 16. But given that artillery mages are generally best in the support role, yeah, Cogma is pretty bad. Okay, I really wasn't that far off on how things work down here. We could argue to put that up here. So a lot of really powerful mage supports. When you're running an engage support, you want them to be like really high durability. Cassante, yeah, Cassante's support is friggin' awful, except for the really, really specific situations where you are against Samira plus like Blitzcrank, or like Samira plus Nautilus, or something like that. Like, there are really, really, really niche pick conditions for Cassante support. Okay, so I think we have dominant properties that I wrote are catch tools, good damage, time insensitive utility, good natural durability if melee. We'll add that. Supports participate in a lot of kills. Enchanter output skyrockets. Mage out damage is more threatening. Tank durability is noticeably higher. Mage supports are dominant. Engage supports tend to die a lot. Only Blitzcrank gains extra value from being a hook support. Kill lanes are ideal. It's okay if only the support's trying to poke. High vulnerability. Oh yeah, because kill lanes can also just be I am killing you, I am a carry. Not necessarily, doesn't really matter what the means are down here. High vulnerability, so if you're a low durability melee or low self-heal range, that's bad. Support's completely dependent on the performance of specifically their ADC are noticeably weaker. Time insensitive utility means that you are It's basically a bit of utility that doesn't require a strict reaction check. Paradox, we are developing the lens for iron, bronze, and silver. So we are developing a... We don't even know if it's useful just yet. I'm just trying to get a sense for how champions work in that level of play. We are developing a list for supports in iron, bronze, silver. I'm basically just trying to develop... This is an ongoing project of just levels of play, where I'm trying to develop the means to translate my theoretical knowledge into practical stuff for amateur teams. At all levels. Yeah, he's low because he's fundamentally macro-reliant, and yeah, silver, right? So, and, you know, this should raise some more questions, to be honest. Like, what is the cat doing down here? Okay, I think I may have misjudged set a little bit just because the champion is so good at every... No. Tempo champion. It's because the premise that we're going with right now, we've determined what tools are most useful in Iron, Bronze, and Silver. You need good laning, you need good team fighting, scaling. The games play out generally as, like, stomp your lane, throw a few times, have a gold buffer to just win random team fights. And I generally think that the worst type of champion to be playing for those games are poor scaling wardens. So every one of them just got indiscriminately dumped there. They're going to have to contend with a lot of mage supports. They're going to have to contend with stuff that just outscales them. They don't necessarily have the lane impact. We're not valuing counterpick value because I made a general rule. I think matchup is virtually irrelevant at this level. The only time when it is relevant is if you are a champion who is a generally weak laner and you need something that's not going to kick your dick in, or if you need a synergy condition met if you don't have a positive matchup. So that's something like Rumble mid, Swain AD carry. We are not valuing insane counterpick value because players regularly fail to execute on counterpick value down here, and matchups never go the way you think they do. Like, you can give somebody the most hard-winning matchup ever, and laning is just too fundamentally sloppy, and macro is too fundamentally sloppy, and it just doesn't happen. So. We can verify that specifically Braum might be more appealing, but, like, I think Braum is the champion who, more than anybody else, solo loses games when picked inappropriately. So it's like, here's the thing. We're gonna pick Braum. We're gonna pick Braum into, like, Leona, right? We're gonna pick Braum into Leona, and the expectation is that Braum is going to try to shut down that engage lane. The thing is, though, the Leona player is not going to understand properly that Braum is meant to dissuade her engage, and Braum's AD carry is likely to miss position, and Braum is likely to miss position, and it gets messy. Not to say that Braum has no value. In fact, Braum specifically, I think we will allow to graduate to middling tier. I think we will allow him to do that. But yeah. That's pretty much it. We have to... Here, hold on. Where's the whole thing? I'll, like, bring this up a little bit. We had it in this notepad document, but between streams I translated it to here. We need to simplify comp identities too. Yeah. And I don't want an IBS player to practice a champion they can only pick in like 1 out of 10 games. You know what I mean? Like, these players are only going to have pools of like 5, 6, 7 champions. Or at least it's my belief that they should have no more than that, and that even that's too much, but they have open pools and they're going to get banned out. It feels awful to put Senna down here, but she hits... Now, the more I think about it, the more she hits some of our negative criteria. Yes, and I also believe... This is another thing here. where to go. IBS teams should always be drafted with an initiator. Because we're trying to simplify our comp identities to reduce the amount of variables that players have to think of, they need something to tell them to go. A Mumu is much better than something like Leona or Not down here because, well, he's not bringing the damage that we would prefer from our Zax, I was about to say Rel, but that's funny. I think we also have to value surprise big AoE down here. Remember, there's going to be bronze players, right? There's going to be bronze players here. That's the premise pretty much. We've been watching IBS games. We've pulled up old VODs from Aegis Squire League, from Zero Gravity. And Amumu is also here because he's just a better laner than Leona. Not like he kills you earlier, and we like that. We like kills. Everyone tries to kill. Do we have any of our weird up? Okay, so Swain is like unusually high value up here. Let me just remind myself of my definitions because I've just been dropping stuff. Good output that hits some but not all of the dominant is excellent output defined by a set of criteria depending on both rank and role. Yep. Good output that hits some but not all of the dominant criteria. Theoretical gates may be removed, leaving champions in this tier on output alone. Yep. Respectable. Limiting gates. Okay, so yeah, we still have limiting gates here. Limiting gate, yeah. Do you have a limiting gate? No, you kind of don't. Not at this level of play. The limiting gate is this one actually kind of is a little bit matchup dependent, but he's also just getting picks. He's not stomping his lane as hard, but he's doing stuff. Team fighting is weird, so yeah, he becomes respectable because I genuinely think Shaco's output is good at this level. We know Lulu's limits, Karma's tempo, Morgana's output just sucks, except now she's hitting bindings, so it's good. Middling, average to low output, which can be caused solely by tendencies or rank-specific gates. Okay, I need to be on it. Like, just move it up. Don't let my biases against this champion and support role influence that too much. Senna too squishy. Senna's preferred style of play isn't favored at this level, really. Senna is just engage food. Yeah, she hits our criteria of reasonably defenseless support, which is something that we want to avoid here. Low damage, dies insta, terrible lane. I mean, Braum has his usual issues that we know. Low damage. Needs some stable games. Oh, wait, that's why we had him here, because he fundamentally needs... Nah, he's got a lot of punish opportunities. He can be just middling. Alistar, low damage, low engage. Roam potential is kind of stunted because we're not really playing the map as well as we could. Pretty reactive sometimes. Will generate more engage opportunities than he realistically should. Is Alistar actually performing decently? No, he's not. Okay. Pantheon probably just... I mean, no, Pantheon falls off. That's the thing. Pantheon falls off too hard from support role. I have Twitch chat closed. Yeah, that was Beryl playing Jhin support. Into Heimer, that's the context. Okay, see, because I've experimented, I've thought of Jhin support in the past, and my big limiting factor was the fact that it's going to lose damage because it can't last hit creeps with Bouncing Grenade. That's too much of a problem. It's a Heimer answer. Cool. You'd say Senna is honestly Freelo. So Senna last season was Freelo, and I was one-tricking her. And she's one of my favorite champions. And I can make her work in most matchups. That being said, the numbers don't lie. In Silver, Senna doesn't win. Senna loses more often than she wins, and I would attribute that to the specific problem that we have here, which is just this. This very, very, very consistently loses in IBS. So that's the only reason I'm lowering her. Again, one of my favorite champions. I think she is so much stronger than people give her credit for, just because she got nerfed a few times and people were like, oh, we can't play this anymore. But it's like, okay, so who's... Guys, can we trust Senna players to play Locket build down here? If we tell them about it, will they play it? Let's say Shen could unironically be put up. I actually want to hear you out on this one. I really want to hear you out on this. Okay. let's watch her trends then. Remember, we're still filtered by... No. We're still filtered by... No, we're plat plus right now. Go down to silver. Okay. How long has she been negative down here? I mean, the trends are clear. It is the lowest win rate skill bracket. Zeknal, do you think that's because you were just a better player than everyone else? Because we're assuming that the players playing in this bracket, like, actually belong in silver right now. And they're going to improve out of silver, but for the time being, we need to meet them where they're at. Steven, are you still here? I'm gonna try, like, giving a ping. Boom! Lurking somewhere. We'll see if he notices. You weren't. What? Do you remember when this was? Do you remember when this was? Because I want to be clear. This is true as of, like, Senna's last nerf. Senna's last nerf was, like, major health, right? Yeah, base health reduced to 530. Base health reduced to 530. Her armor is already quite low, right? At 28 base, yeah. Shinran's strong trading pattern to melees, gets engagement. I mean, his damage is decent too, right? Heartsteel Shen support. Well, Paradox, you are right that Shen support performs best at this level of play consistently. Like, the diamond is like, woo, 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 all over the place. Okay. Zeknal, I would imagine that you played Senna when she was more durable. And when Senna was more durable, easily up here for IBS. But now I don't feel it. And I am just a big Senna player, and I will keep playing her no matter what. But... But Senna takes, like, some finesse now and some build flexibility. Paradox, I'm down. I'm down to put Shen here. I think Shen is a little bit gated. But you have shown, you have brought me towards some data that supports what you say. And so, that's good. This is another Sona situation where it's like, no, you are an exception. You don't stomp lane, but you're so disgusting in team fights that, like, we may as well just dump you here. Okay, let's get some weirdos out. This champ sucks. So she'll be even worse. Do we think Annie is better or worse down here? Doesn't get punished in lane as hard. It's probably yeah. No, nobody's getting punished in lane as hard. It's actually ridiculous. Okay, no, this is one where the people who are actually trying to make her jumping down with like the one person playing it. It's pretty appalling though. Doesn't win lane. Doesn't scale as hard. I don't think I can place any of these realistically. Like, okay, wait. Yes, I can. These champions are still strong because they're mage supports, and that inherently gains value. The rest of these are weird off-meta picks that I would not be able to assess at this level of play. Some of which I haven't even assessed at my level of play. So. Was or is. I got forced into playing that in Clash once. My team had the Quinn clause. where if something went horribly wrong in draft, I would just take any champion support. And so we accidentally locked Annie because whoever was picking in Clash was AFK, and so I just got it. Yesterday was some meme matches, but we saw Aatrox Glacial support. Was that in the Koi Fnatic, like, show match? It was. Okay, yeah, I'll watch that at some point then. That's funny. I'll put him here. It's probably trash, but I'll try to play it at some point when I have time. That's funny. That's funny. Cho is probably fine. Yep, Cho is probably fine, but I don't know enough about it. I have not played enough Cho support to know. So I'm not willing to place any of the picks that I have not developed yet. I can't even fathom how Lissandra support would work at this level of play. So I'm just not touching it right now, but it implies to me that it's like a Camille support sort of thing. Like a skirmish aggro type pick. Stand by, where's my Neela Ornn bot? That's kind of based. Yeah, I know. I've played it for fun before. Played Ornn carry for fun before. Where's Ornn on my regular list? Not high, I assure you. I promise you Ornn is not high on my regular lists. I have him rated unknown right now because I was going to give him a genuine second shot to see if something weird would happen, but like I don't have high hopes for the pick for exactly that reason. Is this the Aerie builds? Like, Aerie Zhonya's Jarvan was pretty fantastic. I'm really out of the loop on it right now. I had him in niche before. Oh, good lord, they're playing Eclipse. Right, the LCK, the Aerie J4 Callista. Yeah. So my problem is that I was too married to Moonstone while playing this champion. And so I kind of missed the 2600 gold Zhonya's meta, where Rakan was just low-key sleeper. Veigar support's a little better than he usually is, just off cage value alone. Oh, right. No, we said player. No, in our mid list, Talia could not be played. I mean, we're trusting our IBS players to consistently land a vector cast. Nope. I'm playing it again, by the way. I'm playing it again. I'm unironically purchasing Roa on that champion as support. I think it's one of the very few spots where it could have value. Initiator Talia, baby. I got the hop on off my wall into the enemy team. Reading Virtue Karma, good. Okay, I saw that stat earlier. It's so weird. It's so weird. Like, it has a high win rate, but I can't wrap my head around it because you're just going to be proccing it at inappropriate times. 60-second cooldown, right? Super strange. Like, the build path doesn't do anything in lane. I have to confess that I don't have the time to play around with the fun support stuff that I usually want to do because I have to jungle. But, yeah. Well, chat, do we see anything grossly controversial left here? Actually, why don't I just... Why cat weak? Cat no lane. Cat go boom. Cat players no block. Cat players no use summoner spells properly. I will say, I don't see the appeal of Radiant Virtue just off that accidental ult alone. Like, I want to be... If I'm playing Karma... Sorry, that's not the right start to my... If I'm building Radiant Virtue, I want to have the flexibility to cast my ult late into a fight. I don't think Karma really gets that, and so I don't like the Radiant Virtue. I'm willing to be wrong. If it's performing well, it's worth investigating. But that's like my gut reaction to Radiant Virtue Karma. Cat best item in the game. Yeah. Yeah. Cat lanes get dumpstered. Cat lanes get absolutely destroyed. And then, like... yeah, no, cat weak. Oh, shit. Okay, I'll repeat myself very quickly. If I'm building Radiant Virtue on any champion, I want the luxury to cast my ult late into a fight. I don't think Karma really gets that. I think I would rather be cycling my cooldowns a lot sooner, and so I just find it awkward. The build path is bad. If it's performing well, we should investigate it, just in case I'm overlooking something, but, like, my gut reaction is, like, eh. Karma already has so much diversity in her possible itemization that, like, if something just doesn't, like, why would I force that in? Give me that IBG, baby! IBG! I think it'll be abused in lane. Anyway, any other, like, controversial things for support? Because I'm willing to leave it here for short term. Remember, I still have to put a team through IBS to prove my hypotheses. Like, we're not going to have it on theory alone. We good? I'll refine some placements later. Singed or Poppy? I think Poppy hits the Warden problem, but worse because she's even harder a counter pick. And then, like, Poppy support, you're usually asking to play really defensively. IBS players do look for flanks, but, like, this just seems like a recipe for disaster down here. Singed. Not familiar enough with it for right now, so I can't place it. I know it's legitimate. It's 100% legitimate. Singed support is real. And it's not terrible. Because I don't understand it enough on a theoretical level, I can't filter it through my lens. Sounds too awkward to be fun. Yeah, pretty much. Radiant Virtue Karma. Anivia. Anivia's way better than I've been considering her. Anivia support. And what I was missing is that she's actually a really core mandate user. I'm willing to put her here, and we'll see. I'm willing to just, like, throw a Hail Mary. Unless it's, like, too reactive or something. Like, I think this is probably just not. Facts. But will our duo know how to play Ivan Rengar? We can teach them. Okay. Okay. Lane Rengar isn't hard. The Ivern part is harder, to be honest, but bare minimum Ivern. Oh, shit. Chat, I'm going to run an experiment. I'm going to attempt to run an experiment. I'll let you know how it goes in several months. we ran into this problem earlier with Ivern. I'm like, oh no, Ivern's too mechanically complex, because when I play Ivern, it's like, I gotta do my Daisy micro, I gotta navigate my shields properly, I gotta weave my auto attack properly, and use my bush as well for that. But then I'm like, no, I mean, they're just gonna press E. The Ivern players are gonna press E, and they're gonna stick Daisy on one guy, and it's gonna be enough. Okay, let's save this one. We'll adjust it later. Boom. Last one. We're blazing through these. Please don't remind me of my exhibition hell. Okay, last is jungle. Last is jungle. What the hell am I doing, huh? Brain? Yeah, we've been experimenting with this one again, all included in the list. We're not talking about Jingle. I skipped over Lee Sin. How broken or weak are assassins? Assassins are good. Like, Juggernauts and Assassins are the scariest classes down here. Well, I'll talk about this in a moment once I finish, like, actually gathering my list. So cool that this is real again, Silas. Assassins are just finding a lot of really cringe ways to kill people that, like, shouldn't work, but do because no one's paying attention and everyone's mispositioning. Okay, W. Diego. Vi. Volibear, Warwick, Wukong, Xinjiao. I'll put him in here for fun. That's kind of popping up a little bit. Okay. I guess people play it here. It's probably not super excellent. Okay. So this is what we know about jungle and IBS. So first of all, just as a whole, Juggernauts, Assassins, very, very good. The jungle players in this elo are psychotic. They spam gank relentlessly. Okay, so they either spam gank relentlessly, waiting inappropriate amount of times for their window, or they try to farm and fall behind on tempo, pretty much. Like, because some of them are good at power farming, some of them really prefer to power farm, but they consistently struggle against the chaos, right? They're conceding some of their agency in this game. Early clear vulnerability is not punishable. So the invades are really, really rare, except for when farm-oriented players go for cross-map invades. So it doesn't matter how low your HP drops while clearing. That's big. That means mid-game is a lot more impactful. Clear speed doesn't matter given the frequency at which junglers spend their tempo. So all that matters is that your champion has meaningful ganks and a meaningful mid-game. That's what we've learned from IBS jungle. Anyone do Orange jungle? Oh, wow. What the hell am I doing not including this? I would do Orange jungle. Like, it hurts a little bit to be, like, slightly down on levels, but you still hit your breakpoints at a reasonable point. The clear is fine. Spellbook user, right? Nocturne is good. Yep. Nocturne is definitely a champion who like goes insane in plats. Viego is good. We know Viego is good. We know... Okay. Rammus is good. Amumu is good. That's... Okay. That's actually a really good question. Is Evelynn good? Because another principle is we cannot, under any circumstances, allow our players to play control comps. We do not want to let them play control comps. So does Evelynn's pre-6 vulnerability matter? She's not vulnerable to the jungler, she's just vulnerable to her team in having to deal with the volatility of the game. It's actually such a weird special case. It's such a weird special case that we have to think about. Evelynn is either going to just get too many random picks and become completely overwhelming. Oh, no, she just is. Okay. Yeah, we'll play Evelynn. We'll put Evelynn up here. And I would imagine, like, you're gonna have to be able to play Evelynn. Okay. Random picks! The scaling doesn't matter! You will die! Wahoo! Where's Rost? Where's Rost? Wahoo! Random fights! Woohoo! Kha'Zix's clear speed doesn't matter at all. It's very good. AD mid jungle is okay. I mean, like, people tend to like patch it up in top lane too. Don't forget, Mordekaiser is one of the most common champions at this level. We are separating Blue Red Cane. Yep. It opened up a lot this season, Jackie. There's a lot more champions that can. Oh, speaking of. This is a serious mechanical skill check that I would not recommend. This is purely tempo-based. This is a strong champion. We actually saw 3 games of Xin Zhao. We saw 3 games of Xin Zhao when we were spectating IBS. He's very popular. We've seen some Pantheon in that too. Okay, what are my criteria? What am I classifying as my core properties for dominant? Dominant junglers have... Yeah. Dominant properties are gank potential, snowball threats, damage. I don't know. Like, what do we say? What are we lacking to be powerful rather than dominant? Elise goes by... Oh, yeah, fundamentally tempo overall. I'll put her here. I think she gets more kills and could be funnier. Mundo is in our top lane list. Hold on, let me pull up our top lane list. Current state Mundo gets to be up here for top lane. For IBS. I need to rework because we're not doing the 2 complex tier anymore. We're just dumping them in weak. Okay, the difference between dominant and powerful is raw stat check potential. Is it? No, that's stupid, because then... Okay, let's just find some gankers, shall we? Who are good early... Oh, fucking... After nerfs, we may put him down here, but... This blows here. Poppy is a good spam ganker. Yep. Shaco has extra value here. Sejuani has to wait, and she takes a little more setup. I'll put her here. Wukong probably pretty excellent. Zac probably actually oppressive. Yeah, the only reason Poppy was so low in support is because your role just has to fundamentally change. Nunu's probably at least respectable. I think he struggles with some of his... Actually, I should just put him up here. Just don't let a Nunu player have Nunu, guys. Udyr loses value just off being a power farmer. Shyvana loses a lot of value, although she is a stat checker. So like we'll put our slow stat checkers in here. How good is Belveth? Oh yeah. Hitting snowball is not hard though. That's the thing. Rek'Sai falls off. Rek'Sai falls off too hard to be in dominant. Actually, I think we probably put her in. Oh, that's hard. This gains extra power, and it is just one-shotting everything if you can play it. I need to make people play Mao jungle. Mao's is like stupid simple, yeah. Well, he got buffed back up to OP status. He was like 54% win rate at one point, right? He's going in my core, that's for sure. I mean, Trundle, Trundle's... Okay, what is my difference between dominant and powerful in this context? Dominant, excellent output that either has few gates or cheap input. In the context of IBS, it is excellent output defined by a specific set of criteria dependent on both rank and role. Powerful, good output that hits some but not all of the dominant criteria. Okay, I need to figure out what my dominant criteria is, and it can't be just so stupid as like gank potential, snowball threat. Dominant properties are gank potential, snowball threat. Hecarim would be oppressive if it weren't for his current state. Overwhelming dual potential or unusual pick/CC value. Okay, so to be dominant jungler, you need like 3 out of 4 of great gank potential, great snowball threat, great dual potential, unusual CC value. So what does that mean? Yeah, that's probably fair. This is probably fair too. I'd actually not be surprised if we go here and she's like, Bel'Veth has been a Silver Stomper for a really long time. She's best in Diamond and then best in Silver. How funny is that? I'd go so far as to say Kindred should not be played. Well, we'll get some win rates later to like confirm. Don't. Middling would mean, of course, average to low output, which can be caused solely by tendencies or rank-specific gates. So those are like the overpower farmers. The champions that are just too slow. Ooh, who do I put there? I mean, I'm just gonna... Champ is barely viable here, like... Well, we need some limiting gates to be in respectable, or like just underwhelming output, or like... Okay, that should be Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai has a limiting gate in that she falls off for the team fights. She is tempo based. What's Skarner win rate? Probably high. I'm just gonna guess he's here, like here, something. Fuck it, let's find out. Let's just make a tier list. Wow. I forgot how friggin' broken Rammus was in low elo. Oh. I forgot. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Okay, yes, we're correct about Warwick. We'll have to rebalance these tiers a little bit, I think. Leah's popping off. Yeah, sure enough. Okay, so Silas is actually performing worse than I expected. We'll dump him here. So yeah, I do have Kindred in weak. I'm anti-Vi too. I'm anti-Vi as well. Vi does one thing. I have her in my niche tier. I just want to see the low elo, like the low win rate junglers. Oh, wait, do I not have Talia? Guys, I didn't pick up Talia. Who is slow? Who is slower and has... Okay. Who else is slow? It was... That's a shocker. That's not shocking at all. Yeah. Why is Gragas underperforming here? Oh, mechanical skill check. Weird defensive role. Yeah, okay. It's probably the mechanics. This is weird defensive roll. This is weird defensive roll. This is a coordination dependent thing. I think it's good. I'm gonna put him in middling here. Has Talia ever been anywhere above middling? No. This champion cannot be played at IBS. Not very well. We can draft around Olaf. We have like mid laners who exist. I'm just... That's best case scenario, yeah. Okay, what did my old jungle list look like before? What did it look like before the changes? Okay, so the way I was making my jungle tier lists before was very output based, where there was a clear divide where it's like powerful is like, yeah, this output is insane. Respectable is like, this output's fine. So I think we're gonna take the same approach here, and we're gonna use middling as our big gate one in this case. Oh, I got you. There we go. Okay, so whose output is like... Vi has... Let's go check her criteria. Gank potential, yeah. Snowball threat, eh. Dual potential, eh. Pick CC value, yeah, kinda. Okay, I can go here. Unreliable. They probably can't execute as well. Skarner, where's Skarner? Definitely solid. But definitely not as immediately compelling as the rest in terms of cash potential. I mean, they're kind of just both here, right? I would argue Shadow Assassin is like... Gank potential, snowball threat, dual potential, unusual pick CC value. A little too slow. This is just unusual, and I think it's still good. Can we unironically consider Malphite? How bad is the clear? I will leave him in unknown. I don't know how he works right now in jungle. I'm not going to be able to place him with any degree of confidence. I'll just leave him there as a note to myself to do something about it. Why would Kha'Zix start losing so much, guys? Why do we think Kha'Zix is not winning? Because that's strange to me. That's really strange. I also no longer have faith in Viego. Viego, if he's not drafted around perfectly, is tempo reliance, and he's just awkward. And so we will say he's a fine champion, because I do believe he is fine. Right? Whatever happened to Brand Jungle? So I've played it a few times. Basically, the pre-3 clear is really slow and really unhealthy. And then it actually does become kind of reasonable, but there's this big chunk of the game where you don't get to have impact. Like the first 4 minutes, you're just so helpless. I have not tried it in preseason, actually. And let's pull up a Platinum Plus to actually get some sample size, because it's a really low pick rate. Okay, this is an irrelevant sample size. We don't get to know. We don't get to know. But it had some problems last season where it was just so awkward. Its gank potential is low. Its dual potential is middling. Like it can burst combo you, and then what else is Brand gonna do afterwards? I have a clip. Actually, I wonder if I can still find it. Sometimes I record some highlights for my friends. Just trying to find them. I do have a clip, actually. This one. 12-11, last time I played it. Watch this. It's so funny. Complete luck. You can tell from my team comp on the side that we were playing some very funny things overall, so. But I remember this game just being absolutely miserable in the first few minutes. Okay. I do not believe that jungle assassins are inherently as strong as the mid lane assassins now. Hold on. Let's hear at this point. I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna stretch. Okay. So what makes the mid lane assassins so strong, right? What makes the mid lane is that an IBS specific question or is that a general question? Because the general answer is his clear is still unhealthy. Early clear at least. I'm wondering if assassins are not as good in the jungle because I think it is probably harder for assassins to generate ganks than we think compared to these actual other champions. I'm like, oh, no, but the juggernauts are going to struggle just as much. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense at all? Assassins are always going to find people out of position, but mid lane assassins have their laners to find out of position. They're getting more opportunities to get fed. Cheese tempo? Oh, you mean like Talon's just like spam ganking? Yeah, but the problem is he has to get his jump first, and that alone gets him low. And he can't avoid that. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's got like a similar problem where it's much faster than Brand as in terms of clear, but it's just awkward when your clear gets you low. You can't really do anything. You're kind of at the mercy of what the enemy jungler's doing, and that's not a very compelling strength. Why would Kha'Zix not be good in IBS? Wait, okay. Where's his win rate distribution? It's just lowest here. It's just lowest here. By a lot. What are they doing? What is causing this? Kha'Zix is not mechanically that demanding. He's really not that bad. He's like, you jump in, you auto QW someone. Like, it's like he's mechanically, but he's not like he's got some mechanics, but he's not like huge mechanically demanding. Like, where did I rate him? Where's he on my practice classes? I wrote he's simple, right? I wrote he's mechanical. Okay, well, I suppose that would. I did declare him mechanical. Are they they're not just getting baited by Duskblade, right? They probably can only go and do a snowball. Like, oh, do you think they're struggling to team fight on him? They're struggling to team fight. It's a lot more complex to find a kill in a team fight on Kha'Zix. They're struggling to team fight on him. They're struggling to team fight and they're building really wrong as a whole. So since that's part of the source of the win rate, I don't feel like I want to put him down here. But yeah, that would be a problem. It's not like Shadow Assassin Kane, who can easily participate in a team fight and get out. Kha'Zix is really committal. Diana's really committal, but she has a team fight button, right? Oh fuck, do I have to? That doesn't feel right. Maybe it's just a... Yeah, I'll justify it with a mechanical skill check. How's Gravy doing? Graves has to be doing fine, as we said earlier, right? He's really... Oh, Tempo Champ. Guys, Tempo Champ, guys! Tempo Champ! Tempo Champ! And Talon is probably here. I know it looks wrong, okay? I know it looks wrong. But this is a top 1 jungler in the game in Season 12, also in week. So... We kind of just have to roll with it. This is how the game works at this level of play. Like... I'm curious, is Talon at all any better? He's really not. He's really not. That pick is not good. Like... That pick, okay, I can't just say something is not good. I can't just say something's not good and then not provide a reasoning behind it. Let's clear ramps up. That would do it. Okay, okay, let's hear you out. Let's hear you out. Let's hear you out. Okay, what are these jungle assassins doing? Why are the assassins so bad here? Why are the assassins doing so badly here? This is one of the easiest assassins. Why are they universally doing so much worse? I'm not understanding something. I would imagine Zed is even worse, right? What am I not understanding about jungle assassins and silver guys? Like, is it just the team fight factor? What am I not understanding? Like, but then why do the mid lane players still have success? They don't invade. We just said this earlier. They never invade. They don't invade. Junglers don't invade. They don't invade, man. Like... So, Kha'Zix is not... Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Well, like... I'm only willing to put them here because I do believe that all of these champions have, like, they are not so mechanical that an IBS player could not pilot them and would not be able to find ganks. But we have somehow managed to find picks that are too mistake reliant even for IBS. How insane is that? Wait, how do ganks work down here? They're just... Guys. How often do IBS junglers make sure that their laners are able to help them before ganking? All of these guys can just kill you without help. That's the difference. Or these guys stall you long enough. And is Diana really that poor? Because I'd actually expect her to be better than I'm giving her credit for. Yeah, I'm wrong. Team fighter, right? Team fighter. Yes, base Kane is Shadow Assassin. This is Shadow Assassin. Rost is still reasonably good. All right. Hi, Aiden. So now we know Olaf has a slow, unpleasant clear, which doesn't matter much at this level. Oh, it's the champions that are... Guys, these 3 assassins are not teamfight oriented, are semi-committal, are not getting random kills from lane phase because they're not laning against an opponent. And then when they get to team fights, they just collapse. This champion's a great team fighter. This champion runs over games. This champion just makes picks randomly. This champion can team fight much more easily than these ones from an IBS perspective, right? This champion has an out. Like, I see. And Jackie is confirming our theory about how iron, bronze, and silver junglers think. Sometimes the laners don't notice. Sometimes the laners don't help. So these champions are not generating those kills in raw stat check situations. They're not even waiting for low HP. They're not looking for low HP laners. They're not looking for... Like, the ganks are not sophisticated down here. The ganks are not sophisticated. It's just, is enemy pushed out? Gank them. That's something that's a huge factor. That's a huge factor. Ganks are not sophisticated. Junglers will check only for position, not for enemy HP, CDs, or ally availability. It is important that you don't need help generating your first kill. That's the thing we were missing. So we just cracked a piece of the code. We have a reason behind some of these win rates. Right? These are random number generated to determine when to int. Guys, so my friend Sean, who I have modeled the generic bronze silver jungler after, very regularly goes like 10 and 10. Junglers do just kill themselves. I didn't even consider that. So yeah, until you can understand how to execute ganks a little bit better, these champions don't work. There we go. Where's your karma, jungle? Yeah. She doesn't hit the jungle mage cooldown breakpoint, unfortunately. 9-second Q. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I love clearing with a 9-second Q. I love clearing. Where's enemy jungler? Who cares? I'm ganking. Oh yeah, these champions explode when they get counter ganked. Is that legitimate? Also, where's Nunu? Is Nunu like 52 randomly? Oh my god, he's so much worse than I thought he was. Huh? Oh, because he's coin. Of course. Prisma! What is going on here? That's ridiculous. Thank you so much for the tier 5 tier 1 gifted subs. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure everybody who has received a gifted appreciates it just as much. Okay. Tier 5, let's go! Let's go! Holy shit, she's a 45% win rate jungler. That falls off even harder. Oh my. Don't play. Okay, don't play this, chap. If you received a gifted, you would not appreciate it. Well, it's your business. Can't team fight. Cannot team fight. Fundamentally cannot team fight. Ooh, that is an awkward recipient. Okay, we're gonna brush that one under the table a little bit. There's no team to fight and you just individually kill them all Fiora style. Well, good luck having the cooldowns for that, right? Team fighting is down to standing next to a character. Yeah, I mean, but getting to that position is also a failure condition. If you have reached the point where you have to be a purely defensive champion just waiting to peel somebody as Rek'Sai, yeah, like, you've probably lost the game already. It feels awful. I want the game closed. If I'm playing Rek'Sai, I want the game closed out at like 25 minutes with no opportunity for the enemy team to team fight. But also, nobody's going to do that at this level of play. Nobody's going to understand how fundamentally their role has changed. I actually do like that perspective. That perspective is not something... yeah. That perspective is not something I've thought about as clearly as I probably should have. That does make sense. But yeah, you just at a point where it's like, I'm better off as a defensive champ. Or it's follow-up. Or it's just letting my team do everything. I'm a lump. I'm Pike. Player top and do the Kale jungle funnel. Good. He's playing Rek'Sai correctly. Is there anything else here that can explain some weird trends? You've really fallen, haven't you? I think a coordinated team would always keep Hecarim's win rate higher than that, so... This is friggin' egregious. Like... Oh, Warwick is way better than I realized. I mean, should I just put all the champions that, like, have Giga win rates up here? Probably should. I like him. I really do. I like him from a draft perspective. Like, you can just pick him. Felseas, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. I really appreciate it. You guys are really going crazy with the tier 1s today. I thought for sure primes would be more accessible, but... apparently you're spending money on me. I really appreciate that. Your support means a lot in helping me to continue making my videos. So I appreciate that. If that's appropriate. I don't really know if... I mean, I'll just dump Olaf, like, down here. Or, like, I'll dump Olaf here. Okay, I mean, that feels reasonable to me. For now. No worries, no worries. I'm not expecting primes. I'm just... Oh, I actually like Gnar jungle. Oh. Prisma, where do you get this money from? Oh, wait, Gnar sucks in IBS. Gnar really sucks. Yeah, because remember, we're trying to play for abrupt fights, and that's something that Gnar doesn't like. If your champion cannot respond to abrupt fights, you're a weaker champion. I'm going to draw off Pantheon, like, here. And we'll probably be on our way, right? And if something's weird and missing, like, so be it. Okay. Does anything look wrong to me here? Solo gank potential. All right. Dominant properties are solo or extended gank potential. Snowball threat, yeah. Solo orcs or unusual CC. Yep. Jarvan, big champ. Boop, boop, boop. These are all champions that have good output that hits some but not all of the dominant criteria. Yep. These have some limiting gates. You know, Nunu's damage is kind of wild. Viego falls off a little bit, but he's always good. What is Yorick's limiting gate? I don't know. It says ghoul availability, but yeah, he's just more complex to gank on. Just low damage. Just a little inconsistent. Weird. I mean, honestly, this champ belongs up here right now for IBS. Takes too long to come online, falls off really hard, limited windows of effectiveness, really synergy reliant and limited windows of effectiveness. We've identified these three, like what their problem is with the limited access to opportunity. I mean, it pretty much is just limited access to opportunities with a reliance on those opportunities, right? For these guys. We're not really good enough at generating those opportunities. We're just looking for specific types of ganks, and yeah. That's pretty much it. Darius has the same issue as the 380 assassins. He doesn't have a laner to snowball on. That's true, yeah. And Darius jungle is very reliant on playing with his team. Udyr feels low. Udyr just had his lethality builds. I forgot about those. They did just get slightly nerfed, but they did not get removed from the game. So Udyr belongs up here. Okay. Let's save it again. Okay. Let's scroll through our lists then. I'm just gonna... So here's our bot lane list. The core properties for a... basically, remember. Actually, let's roll through the entire thing, okay? Let's roll through the entire thing. We are going to go through everything all at once and conclude the... Yeah, actually, hold on. Okay. So we've just completed the first iteration of our study on Iron, Bronze, and Silver levels of play. We have identified some of the tendencies here. We've watched VODs of how this level plays out. The point of this study, of course, was to learn how to translate theory to Iron, Bronze, and Silver, so we can properly draft for them. Players do generally fall into these tendencies. We are going to help them improve out of their long term, but to help a team who plays at IBS, you have to meet them where they're at first, right? We've determined laning is sloppy, macro is sloppy, team fights are sloppy. Big surprise, right? So it means high kill games. It can mean long games, but ultimately how these games work is that a team snowballs out of control. They probably throw a few times. They're just using their big gold buffer to win team fights because the random spontaneous fights that are caused in IBS are the driving force of the game. If you can respond to more fights than your opponent, you're probably more advantaged, right? So we are desiring in all contexts strong laning, high scaling, strong catch tools, strong split push power. Right? We want to give our players simple champions that they understand. They can always think about the game plan of their own champions. They're not stupid. We've seen IBS players try to execute dives. We've seen them try to execute flanks. But we need the comp identity to be as simple as possible, right? We do not want to give them control comps. We don't even really want to give them aggro comps. They need to be able to team fight. We want to give them initiators to help them team fight. Make it as simple as possible. Give them as few variables as possible to think about. We want to draft multiple carries at once in case any random lane collapses, because remember, our laning isn't refined yet. We're not great laners just yet. Any of us could randomly lose lane if we're playing on an IBS team, right? So tanks lose like a little bit of value because we want to have more carries in our comp, but whatever. Matchups generally don't matter because our matchup fundamentals are not developed. Matchups swing in random directions, right? Stat checkers run rampant in top lane. Weak laning is not necessarily a gate in mid lane, whereas it usually would be everywhere else because win lane, win game is an obvious trend. That's the one situation where counter picks do matter. If you are a weak laner, you need to be counter pick, so you can confirm that you're playing into a matchup that doesn't just crush you like a stat check top lane, like especially top lane IBS, where Mordekaiser is like a dominant champion, right? We do actually have another situation where matchups matter. That's if your champion is fundamentally better into a certain class of champion. You have to, if you don't get the kind of matchup you need, that champion might be synergy reliant. Think Rumble, who would prefer to combo with his ultimate if he's not played into a like melee mid, or Swain AD carry, who probably wants an engage support if he's not being played into engage. Stuff like that. Right. Mechanical prodigies do exist. There are players who just have like big... There are players who have hands but no brain. They don't have perfect hands though, or they would be higher in solo queue because they would just be crushing everything, right? So a mechanically demanding champion is not appropriate for IBS if they literally have nothing to fall back on, like a lot of low CDs or a lot of auto attacks. Otherwise, you can play these champions. Like Yasuo is not a bad champion inherently for IBS players to play if they full-on main it. As controversial as that may seem, like they can execute it. He does have high win rates in these brackets, right? So what are the specific gates for this level of play? Pure tempo champions are garbage because we're going to experience throws. We don't want, like, we're not going to stay ahead. Bad champions. The inability to abruptly join fights is bad. Like Narbar, we can't have that when fights just break out like that, right? We actually need to specify that champions fall off in IBS if they lose specifically teamfight effectiveness as a carry threat. We do not want to use game plans that are fundamentally based around mid-game macro. Vulnerability to jungle ganks is more pronounced because these players are insane, right? So stacking mechanics are good. Like, what's good? Stacking mechanics are good. Overall gold is higher, so champions who scale well are good. Catch tools are going to find targets. Catch tools are like the #1 thing that we value. We expect tools to be used frivolously. Like, we see players use all 5 flashes for 1 kill. We want low cooldowns wherever possible. We like global tools because we want to get to the fights first. They're random. They're crazy. Okay. Before we go into the first drafts of our actual IBS tier lists, here's what we concluded. In top lane, stat stick juggernauts dominate, right? Top lane is the highest risk role in theoretical play, so it's hard to avoid interaction sometimes. IBS players like to fight a lot. They're not going to avoid interaction, so you throw a Warwick up there, and it's going to go very well for the Warwick player, usually. Strong output is almost entirely determined by raw stats up here, right? Split push becomes a very dominant property as a top laner. Pure tanks, as we mentioned, are weaker. By having a weaker lane, they can typically get locked in place by the split pusher, and they're obviously not useless, and they obviously do have value, but whenever you have a theoretically powerful tank, they usually drop in priority like a little bit in IBS, right? Ranged top laners are hit by the gank vulnerability gate that we mentioned earlier. Junglers are very likely to spam gank relentlessly, waiting for completely inappropriate amounts of time for their window. Dominant properties are solo or extended gank potential, because their laners might not always follow up properly and they're not sophisticated on their ganks. We want snowball threat, dual potential, or unusual pick or CC value, right? Some players do embrace pure full clears. We have seen IBS junglers just go for counter invades, stuff like that, but they tend to get snowballed on. Ganks are not sophisticated. They look for position, not enemy HP, not enemy cooldowns, not ally availability. So if you need help generating your first kill, or you're really exposed to counter ganks, because we're obviously not tracking enemy jungler either, that tends to be a weaker jungler. So we had we'll talk about like Zed and stuff when we actually get to the lists, right? Early clear vulnerability is not punishable. Invades are very infrequent, especially for kills. Low health doesn't matter. You just need a good mid game and good ganks. You will get to the mid game, right? But clear speed also can't matter because we throw away our tempo like that, like all the time. Mid lane, early kill threat and roam potential matter down here. There are more opportunities for safe scaling than top lane because it's easier to avoid interaction. So the dominant properties for this role, a lot of roam potential, catch potential, of course, jungle setup, pick potential, scaling. The assassins tend to dominate because in the mid lane, they're better than the jungle. They have more opportunities for finding random kills, right? They're not waiting to gank somebody. They're laning against somebody who can make a lot of mistakes. So if we have simple assassins that can shove, roam, kill, that accelerates the pace of the game, and that's a good thing in IBS. Right? Pre-6 vulnerability is irrelevant, so we actually see champions like Zillion, Swain performing well because they neutralize these assassins. Post-6 vulnerability is really bad, because that's when you start to eat like Fizz ultimates, because people are playing Fizz down here. Right? Okay, bot lane. Kill lanes are the best. Scaling is good, yes, but not at the expense of a weak lane. We want to be able to kill people. Again, snowball, snowball, snowball. Have this gold buffer. We're going to throw. We don't understand macro, so we want our gold buffer. Dominant properties, snowball potential, catch, scaling, easy teamfight execution, right? Any champion overly dependent on a partner is much weaker if that dependence is complex, because IBS supports aren't going to know what you're doing. Remember, they're wrapped up in their game plan. They don't know exactly how to help you, but if the dependence is for engage, if you need them to engage, we can handle that. That mandatory synergy is fine. So poke lanes are barely viable. The positioning is poor. We're going to expose ourselves to these common kill lanes. It's just not kind of what we're going for. Support is a weird one. Scaling, this is the role where scaling is best. Supports are getting unusual amounts of gold. They're participating in more kills. Econ is like shockingly high down here. So we want catch tools, we want good damage, we want time insensitive utility, which is utility that doesn't require a reaction check. We want good natural durability from melee, right? Mage supports tend to be dominant down here. Engage supports do tend to die a lot, but we mentioned we want an initiator. They could be necessary for the mid game, so if we have something that's unusually durable and does damage, it's totally fine. Only Blitzcrank gains extra value from being a hook support. Everything else has, like, you know, normal catch. These players aren't, like, stupid, right? High vulnerability is a damning property. If you are a low durability melee or a low self-heal ranged champion, you will just die and repeat, and you will not contribute that much. The only way you can compensate for this, if you have low self-heal, you can just kill them back. There's very few supports that can actually just do that right away, right? Supports completely dependent on the performance of specifically their AD carry are weaker. Low scaling wardens are completely reactive and low impact in lane. But again, team fights are the biggest thing that matter here. Supports tend to be able to neutralize a lot better, or like random scaling supports win their lane unexpectedly and stuff. So this is the role where we will see the most like weak laners that still get away with it. Like the 2v2 is complex for IBS players. So with all that said, these are our premises. These are what we've been studying. This is, of course, the first draft of our Iron study. That's as far as we've gotten right now. I will be putting teams through IBS leagues to confirm these hypotheses. But for the short term, here is our first draft of the tier lists that we wanted to see, right? This is our AD carry one. Jhin is at the top. I mean, he's got kill threat. He's got catch tools that nobody else has. It feels weird to see Jhin, of all champions, like at the top of a tier list. Like, at the end of the day, this is kind of where it is. Weird, notable things. Caitlyn is dropped in priority at this level of play because she's a tempo champ and a poke lane, although she is still reasonably effective. Most of our respectable champions are champions who will perform well in the team fights, but are going to have a weak lane to compensate, and are not as likely to generate those snowballs. This is the bot lane list. Varus isn't top. Yeah, Varus isn't quite as... I mean, the numbers don't lie, right? We did have to use a lot of solo queue statistics for this. We didn't blindly... If we blindly followed solo queue statistics, Yasuo would be all the way down here, but of course we have access to synergy in competitive play for IBS. We can pick appropriate supports for him. Varus simply does not snowball as consistently as the other two. The value that he gives, like he's a good stat stick, right? He's a great stat stick. But he's not as immediately explosive. That's pretty much it. Our jungle list looks like this. This is the one that we just finished making before I started going on my whole spiel about this. Where Rammus, I really cannot express how like absolutely absurd Rammus is. I really cannot express how absurd Rammus is at this level of play when his clear isn't being punished and stuff, right? So yeah, this is the list that we just finished. A lot of like, and so Zed, Kha'Zix, and Talon made it down here because, as assassins, they're dependent on their first kill. We would expect people to be mispositioned all the time. They do misposition all the time, but these champions aren't always finding those opportunities to misposition. Again, because we're looking for solo gank potential, because we're not looking for appropriate ganks, we're just looking for extension ganks. These are squishy champions. It is just harder to execute on them compared to something like a Xinjiao. And the assassins who do perform are the ones who just spontaneously kill somebody and can make it out in a team fight. They're not as committal as these ones, right? It's weird to call Talon committal. Kind of not, but yeah. And I know Graves being low feels wrong, but he is a tempo champion. He doesn't win. He really doesn't. This is our mid lane list. The IBS mid lane list is favoring a lot of early game burst champions, a lot of assassins. It is really unusual what is top heavy. We still have these like too complex things. We need to resort things a little bit. There's a lot, like, remember, we're not being punished for our pre-6 as hard in this lane, so for some reason, bewilderingly, things like Quinn do just win. Like, Quinn mid doesn't, it's a trend where everyone's mispositioning, but simultaneously, no one's pressing advantages as hard as they could, right? We're not pressing advantages as hard as we can. So it's like this weird paradox of you kill more easily, but you're not killed as easily. Like, you know what I mean? It's so strange. That's true. Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, Galio fell a little bit for being a utility champion, but then why is Orange? You know what? Galio got missed. Galio got missed when we started to move utility champions up. That's pretty much it. Galio got missed because we placed him before we determined, oh, wait a minute, mid laners are not that vulnerable pre-6 compared to top laners. And so Galio, like, yeah, you know what? I would agree with you. I would agree with you. We could probably put Galio up here a little bit. And Irelia is weird, yeah, but she did fall under our, I mean, it's two things. Irelia fits our criteria of a mechanical champion who, if she fucks something up, can just start auto-attacking you, and her cooldowns aren't, like, that long. And it also just boils down to Irelia players do statistically win at this elo. So, since we have a reasonable explanation for why that might be, I'm inclined to trust the win rate. I'm inclined to trust it. The support list looks like this. We have a lot of mage supports at the top. We have some shockingly high scaling things here, like Sona, Taric. They're getting absurd amounts of gold. The 2v2, since it's more complex, even though we're playing kill lanes, it's weird. It's like the support... I can't... Like, I still feel weird trying to explain this one. Because, like, by all means, Sona should not be thriving here. But I have watched directly the POV of IBS Sona players, and, like, they're just winning. They're just not dying in lane. Even if their 80 carry dies to everything, they're neutralizing way more than they should, right? They're poking at inappropriate times and not getting engaged onto. But, like, it just happens. So basically, you'll see a lot of self-sufficient supports up here. Nami is unusually able to aggress in the 2v2 because she's not being punished as consistently. The engaged supports who actually are strong are champions who have massive AoEs or who have heavy damage to back themselves up, which is why we see the lower durability or lower damage ones down here instead, right? Serrano not punish enemy drafts hard enough. I mean, it's like, kind of, yes, but remember, we don't expect Renata Ultimate to be used as perfect counter-engage. We're not expecting people to execute their archetypical matchups exactly, but she's still excellent. It's just she doesn't... She makes some champions really hard to deal with. She does win some lanes. She's not getting punished as hard, so her laning is better. I just wouldn't put her up here because she doesn't scale as well as the other enchanters, and she doesn't bully as hard as the other, like, as the mages, right? So that's pretty much it. And obviously, again, everything here is a first draft. I can be outright wrong about some placements because we're just trying to develop an understanding of how champions are changed by being an IBS. And lastly is the top lane list, which is the first one we did, actually, which is why you'll still see the too complex stuff here. You just stat check people. You just want to try to stat check people in top lane. Stat check, split push, and then you're a good champ. Like, and the respectable ones are the ones that have higher complexity in team fights, the ones that have, like, lower agency in lane. Darius makes it down here solely because when he gets to the team fight phase, he's a lot more conditional than his other Juggernaut peers. Stuff like that, right? Those are our lists. And yeah, I'm ready to change everything. but I feel reasonably confident that we have developed the because we developed these through watching games, through talking to people, like getting some perspectives from actual players in this elo range. I'm reasonably confident that even if some of the minute details aren't perfect, we have generally figured out how IBS play works. I will put it to the test. I'm excited for it. And now that I'm not blatantly recording for YouTube content, I'm ready to ask questions. I'll take some questions in just a moment, guys. We can talk about specific places. I'll answer the Kaisa point, too. Jackie, because that's impossible. I cannot do that. If I were to enter an IBS game, I would not be able to approach things from the perspective of an IBS player. I would distort the game by smurfing. I literally cannot be an IBS player. That said, I do... By the way, do you guys want to see me climb on, like, on my ult account? Because I am learning another role. Like, do you guys care about my climb? Because, like... got an account at, at level 29. it's got a pretty good... it's got a pretty good name. Well, I have to play jungle. I have to develop. Okay, yeah. Well, I'll climb on stream for you guys a little bit. I haven't done that in a while. I haven't actually played my ranked games in a long time. Zeknel, it is... The lists are influenced. It is based on current meta power. Yes, it is based on the current state of the champions. Oh, Paradox, if you just stick with, like, one, you're probably fine, right? Why don't you just one-trick Riven? So yeah, Kaisa, if we go back to the bot lane list, Kaisa was placed in respectable because there are just more windows of downtime than the other champions above her. I think she's pretty decent, for sure. But when you're playing the builds that need to team fight, she is harder to execute than everything above her. When you're playing the raw burst builds, it's a little more conditional, right? Like, it's... Kaisa is good and has good outputs, but again, the win rates support what I've been saying. She is just a little less good than the... Like, because she's just a little more gated, is the thing. So that's why she's down here for right now. And again, I'm not perfect. I just learned this stuff. I'm just developing this framework, right? So some stuff is gonna be all funky. You guys are probably right about the Galio, though. Where's the boy TK? Ooh, where is TK in top lane? That was an old thing. Where's TK in top lane? TK's in respectable here. TK supports. I actually did put him weak. I think I'm not wrong about that. Yeah. I mean, don't forget, there's no niche tier here. There is no such thing as a niche tier here. Oh yeah, did you notice the ASOL tier? I'm tired. Okay, let's figure out what's happening this week then. Oops. Dude, those picks are based. I like Scion into those. Scion, Ornn, Sejuani mid actually has a few matchups. I don't know what they are, but they exist. Poppy mid has like one or two hyper niche matchups. Again, I don't know what they are, but they exist. Oh, there we go. Okay, we've got a grossly outdated document here. Let's figure some stuff out. What's happening here? Today, wait. Oh shoot, it's the 19th now. Okay, 19th to 25th. So Christmas is Sunday. 19th to 25th. Okay. What are we doing? What's my plan? I didn't do anything with Varus mid right now. I didn't know anything about it. Okay, tomorrow. Sorry, I'm cutting myself off. No, I didn't work with Varus mid just yet, but obviously it was on the list, just as a note for me to do anything with it. Okay, tomorrow, lore. Tuesday, I have something. Tuesday, I have something to do that starts at like 7, 8 sort of thing. I might be done by 10. I'm going to hope I'm done by 10, but I'm going to be kind of tired, right? So I don't want to do anything too intense. I'm not going to be doing any research. I'm not ready to climb just yet. We're just going to play more lore that day then. We're gonna stream on Wednesday. Levels of play, study. We're going to start the platinum part of it. We're gonna skip gold and we're gonna go straight to plat because I think I'm struggling a lot more on gold. I just want to develop IBS, I want to develop plat, and then we can converge them into gold. Thursday, no stream. I think I have practice that day. And I'm going to just verify that I do or don't. I think everybody wanted to kind of take... Wait, gone... Okay, so if we were going to practice, it would be Thursday. What's so weird? Well, it's just familiarity with platinum, pretty much. Gold has some weird properties. Basically, I can't figure out how bad they are and how good they are. Like, I mean, I have some stuff about gold on my page here. Like, gold is... They have higher laning competence, but they're still reckless, right? Pure death ball reigns supreme. There's greater diversity in methods of starting a play. Like, we're more comfortable with flank initiations and stuff. Players are developing an idea of how to play properly with teammates. That's stylistically, not specifically. Reckless aggro picks are rewarded more heavily, but can't close as cleanly. Junglers farm and gank, but don't track yet. Picks still win. Like, it's like more stuff starts to matter, but it's still kind of IBS based, right? Gold players are silver with better mechanics. Now that we've done this whole IBS study, reading my gold bit, it's making a lot more sense, come to think of it. So, I mean, we'll just converge it in on platinum. Well, actually, hold on. Would you guys rather do gold? Would you guys rather do gold before plats? I would rather do plats. But will my account be ready by then? This is Christmas Eve. I'm a lot more familiar with how plat works. You know what? It's more immediately pressing for me to be done IBS, and it's more immediately pressing for me to be done plat. I don't want to promise my jungle climb. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Platinum's not good. I've been platinum for several years now because I'm not practicing properly, and platinum is not good. When I was Diamond 3, I was an atrocious player. Like, Diamond 3 is not good. Platinum is iron for high elo, pretty much. Like, when you're a platinum player, you have your fundamentals down, but you really, really don't know much about the game still. In my case, it's how to execute in the game. When do I want to start incorporating my jungle climb? Because, like, I don't... So here's the thing, guys. I have to practice off-stream. Oh, having been D4, hell yes. D4 is a hellhole. It's the worst place I've ever been. It's just really unpleasant game quality. I have to practice off-stream. I have to practice my jungle games off-stream. I will always have to. So you guys are not going to be able to see the whole climb. Does that matter to you? Or... I mean, I take it you probably just want to see me play at some point, right? Like, that's probably... Well, let's go ahead and just say Christmas Day is a fat no stream, because I'm going to be seeing family. You know what? Here's what I will do. I will... Well, let me be clear. I'm not a jungle main. I'm developing the skills to be a jungler. I have skills to be a jungler. I just have to start from the beginning because I fundamentally don't understand solo queue jungle. That's my problem. Okay, what do I do? Okay, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to try to level my account to 30 by Saturday. This is going to be Christmas Eve. I hope you guys can make it there. I will find some way to chronicle my entire journey, and it's probably going to be a little impractical for people to watch all of it based on how I do it, but everything will be available to you guys, okay? We're gonna go old school for this one. This is going to be like I play every game on stream. Maybe. Oh, I don't want to promise that. I will find out. I will get back to you, okay? I will find out. But I think this is probably our best possible schedule for right now. This is probably our schedule for the week. Bring that out. will post that. Okay, let me figure it out. I'm going to talk to some people. But for now, I have to go to bed. Guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. I've had a great time. We got this project in a stable position, and I'm really excited to have learned something. I have a short coming out tomorrow on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. I'm going to make it tomorrow. I'm going to probably make it about mage second items because everybody on my YouTube poll voted for itemization content. And I just spent some time earlier today studying the pick conditions for like Shadow Flame, Horizon Focus, Void Staff, Rabadons. So we're probably going to talk about that. On Friday, I have a new series coming out, a new video. I'm trying to make some more YouTube content that can be put out more consistently so that my big projects can get some more traction. So on Friday, I'm going to release Same Difference, Sona versus Seraphine, which is going to be a video talking about two similar champions, Sona and Seraphine, and we're going to dissect the subtle differences between them that define their pick conditions for coordinated play. And I think that's going to end up being a really cool series that I can make a lot more easily than, like, deep dive on front to back, you know? So, this is the stream content we're expecting this week. Those are the bits of video content we can expect this week. And I'm excited to deliver all that to you. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. Again, love yourselves, respect. I'm going to hurt you. Seraphine's kit is cool. You can hate her character and her lore implementation all you want, but Seraphine's kit is cool and unique. And I like having it in the game. And as soon as you look past the surface level, one of them can't talk, one of them should. Yeah, alright, Karibo. Everybody, have a wonderful rest of your night. Don't forget to love yourselves, respect each other, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.